Welcome, everyone, to the ADG Podcast. It's another great episode of the ADG Podcast coming to you from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. It's the ADG Podcast. I'm Darrin.
And I'm Jacob.
We have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking some Avengers Endgame because now that the spoiler ban has officially been lifted,
it's over.
It's over. We can finally talk about it. All that's good things. Jake, what else is coming up on our show today?
We got a top five. We got a new segment coming up since I'm putting a break on next couple weeks on Garbage Person of the Week.
Yeah.
We're gonna try something new, something just as exciting. I got a Jakub Rant coming to you at the end of the show. I'm not gonna spoil it. Got to listen. I'm gonna rant about something. Darren's gonna react, probably overreact. It's gonna be great. But I want to give
me overreact? Never.
I want to give a huge heads up and thank you to Sean B. Morning, Sean Legion, X's and Bros morning show this morning. Big round of applause right here.
Yes.
Thank you. Shutting us out this morning on his radio show at 6:30 in the morning. He put up a Twitter question, and I was waiting to get into work. Messaged him, awesomest question and Lions question. So you want to check out what he asked and what we answered. Get on his Twitter account at Sean B Mornings. Check it out. ADG Podcast at ADG Podcast on Twitter. We had a cool interaction. He gave us a shout out on the radio at 11:30 a.m. The Fan in Detroit. So keep tuning in the morning at 6:30. He starts. Great show. Great talk. He gave us a shout out today. We had a good conversation when he joined us on our show, and we had some good back and forth today on Twitter.
Absolutely.
So yeah, give that a check out. On today's show, gonna have an interesting show today because we're gonna start off with top five.
Top five.
Going crazy. Top five, no debating. Top five.
All right. So let's get to the top five today. So Darrin, my top five today edges on our last segment today a little bit. It's a little sneak peek or tease, you can say.
Right.
My top five today goes like this. What is the most reliable car on the road? Everybody has an opinion on that.
Probably one with four wheels, I would think so.
Right. One that's cheap to fix, right?
That's it.
But let's look at it this way. What are the top five least reliable cars on the road? I want to get into that a little bit because I have five brands on my top five list. Five least reliable brands on the road. And this is based on problems per 100 vehicles, PP100. There you go. Okay. Per 100 vehicles. And to me, no surprise at all. To some people, a little bit, I'm sure. But we'll start with number five. Darrin, Jeep. Yeah. Jeep has, these are 2016 stats, so nobody yell at me. For all those Jeep freaks out there that I know, calm the hell down. Go mod your Jeep. Go drive down the ditch. Leave me alone. This is numbers here. This is big people numbers. Go off-roading. Go hook yourself up to a tree and pull yourself out of the mud. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Jeep
is the number five here with 181 problems per 100 vehicles.
Jeez. So what you're telling our listeners, do not buy a Jeep.
And out of personal experience, no. But they're not sponsoring the show, so fuck them. But no. Jeep is number five with 181 problems per 100 vehicles. Alrighty. Next one, number four. Land Rover. Land Rover checks in with 198 problems per 100 vehicles. Yeah. That's an expensive car.
I don't see too many Land Rovers out and about. Well, around Windsor, you might see like maybe a dozen here and there in your lifetime, but it's not a big Land Rover kind of town, Windsor.
It's not, but they do sell them down here. But for a car enthusiast, Land Rovers aren't very good, especially the older ones. They're not.
Right.
So that's not really a surprise to me. The Land Rover made it onto this top 5 list. But number 3 might surprise a few people. Darren, what do you think of this one? Smart car, number 3.
Oh, that's not a shocker.
199 problems per 100 vehicles.
Wow. Well, do you think is the problem where it's just so mad where you can you just crumple up the car and throw it away like a piece of paper? Because
What's the size of a garbage can?
My God, it can just it can fit in pretty much in a bed of a big pickup truck.
That's right. And here, speaking of pickup trucks and car companies, number 2 on this list is something I own, actually. Shh. Yeah, I know. Ford, with 104 problems per 100 vehicles. Ford. Right.
Ford, especially being from Windsor, it's we have the Ford plant here, so you don't want to hear stuff like that, about a product that's made here in the city, having issues, but
right.
Yeah. So
now,
that's number 2. What's going to be number 1?
Since Ford was 104 problems per 100 vehicles, number 1 is Dodge with a 208 per 100 vehicles. Yeah. Now, having owned Chrysler and Dodge products, I definitely know Dodge is garbage. Right. And that's a lot of problems. And we make a lot of Dodge and Chryslers in our city.
Right.
A lot. So that's kind of surprising. That's kind of, but that's a high number.
But it's really surprising. Like the other brands that the foreign brands, your Hondas and your Toyotas are pretty reliable, I would say. All right.
Yes, I think next couple of weeks we'll do the most reliable. And I think we'll be surprised, or maybe not surprised, that the Asian automakers will be in that top 5 in one way or another, compared to what we just heard right now on the top 5.
Yeah, there you go. So there you go. Yeah, there's your brand new top 5 for this week.
That's right.
That's good stuff. So from top 5 to a top grossing movie.
Yeah.
You want to continue there?
Let's do it.
A top grossing movie that, as far as has over the past 2 weeks have surpassed the $2 billion box office, $2 billion box office total.
That's right. It's second right now. It's in second place of all time grossing movies ever. And it just came out worldwide. Yeah.
Exactly. That's crazy.
Crazy.
How obviously it's gonna surpass number 1, and it's probably gonna be number 1 for a long time.
Very long time. It's gonna be hard to beat. There's too many big characters, too many storylines, too many people involved themselves in these type of movies. So and you know what? And it was a really good movie. I want to know what you think about it, because we haven't talked about it yet. We waited a couple weeks so we don't spoil it for people. And I want to know, going into the movie, what you thought watching the movie, and your final reactions after you saw it.
Exactly. No, so the 2-week ban has been lifted on Avengers Endgame, so we can finally talk about it, and not worry about spoiling the movie for you. But if you haven't seen it, we'll give you a warning now that we're going to talk about a whole bunch of spoilers.
So fast forward.
So fast forward, or if you don't, if you still want to listen to our recap, hit pause, go see the movie, and then come back and listen to the podcast. That's your last warning before we get into it. All right, Jake. Avengers Endgame picks up right when Avengers Infinity War ended, with obviously Tony Stark and Nebula still trapped in space. Half the universe population is wiped out. There's a lot of turmoil that there's a lot of depression that's going on with the remaining Avengers still back at headquarters. So we see Tony and Nebula floating around in space. Tony, obviously, supplies have run low and everything, and it looks pretty doom and gloom for him until Captain Marvel shows up, shocker, and brings the ship back to Earth. So Tony is rescued and Nebula is there. And then it's kind of a sad reunion that they're pretty much comparing notes. So how did you guys do on Wakanda? Not that great. How'd you do on Titan? Not that good. So obviously they were comparing notes. Tony was very angry at the captain, but you can't fault him for being angry. The guy pretty much took it on himself that he lost. He felt that he lost it for the entire universe by having the Doctor Strange give up the Time Stone.
Right.
So yeah, so right there, it's like boom, it goes into it, and pretty much a lot of that opening first sequence has been shown already in credits and in trailers and such. So I was kind of expecting that, they're kind of like, well, what are we gonna do? And then Captain Marvel says, let's go kill Thanos. Oh, how come we didn't think of that? Because you didn't have Captain Marvel. So
Right.
So they end up going to this planet that it's just Thanos that's just living on. There's no one else, just him. Where it's like his retirement community. He's just chilling there, and then they end up just flying in. They pretty much just they held him down because they wanted to recapture the gauntlet and see if they can undo the snap. Problem was, the snap, the gauntlet, and the Infinity Stones were all destroyed. Thanos destroyed the Infinity Stones to atoms, so they're just gone. There's no way to reverse the snap. So, but that didn't stop them from killing him, which Thor came in and chopped his head off. He went to the head this time. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still, obviously they kind of are defeated in that there's no way to bring back all their loved ones and everything else. So 5 years later go by and it's just a wasteland. Half the population is there and pretty much pretty much everyone has gone on their own way and to do their own thing. And then they find Bruce Banner because they want someone with a brain to help them see if they can figure out the Time Stone or how to get the stones back. Bruce Banner is now Professor Hulk, so he's the size of Hulk, but he has all the intelligence of Bruce Banner. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it was a fun combination to look at because you try to look at his face and it's like, okay, he's Hulk, but he's still Bruce Banner.
Exactly.
So it's like you couldn't decide, so you just stayed there.
It's pretty much. I should mention that before they found Bruce Banner, Scott Lang, who was trapped in the quantum realm, got released out of the quantum realm by a rat that stepped on a button and turned on his 80s van contraption to take him out of the quantum realm. So he, who doesn't know that the snap happened, was what felt like which was 5 years in Earth time was only 5 hours in the quantum realm time. So he didn't really know what was going on. So he goes around and he starts looking like what happened to everyone, and then he finds this huge memorial of all the people that vanished, and he sees his own name. So he goes to find his daughter. Luckily, his daughter is still alive, so he ends up going all the way back to the Avengers headquarters, where he's telling the team about the quantum realm and how time works differently there. And so that's where they get Bruce Banner to see if he can go back in time and pretty much use it as a time machine to go back in time and to capture the Infinity Stones once they were all on Earth at one point.
Right, and I'm not a huge fan of the concept of what they were going to do, going back in time and, trying to... The idea is cool, but I'm not a big fan of the concept. But what was neat to see is them actually jumping into certain parts of other movies.
Exactly, like them seeing themselves from a younger time, and
right.
and then pretty much closing all their own personal storylines, like Thor with his mother before his mother died, and Tony with his dad. I believe that was during one of the first Captain America movies,
Mm-hmm.
either Civil War
Winter Soldier.
I think it was the Winter Soldier. Yeah, that's right. So he sees his dad as a young guy, just getting ready to have a child, and Tony Stark, who has a child now, as a little girl, he has that moment with his dad that he never had. So that was pretty great to see. So obviously they all split up and they all do their own jobs and to get their own stones that they need to get. I thought it was great watching Captain America versus Captain America, which
Right.
which that was pretty neat. And then him obviously foiling the plan when he's in the elevator, and leaning over to the guy saying, "Hail Hydra." Yeah.
Which is funny that you mentioned that because that was a huge controversy in the comic books.
Right.
Because everybody, there was one of the issues ended with him, Captain America, saying "Hail Hydra," so that's kind of played really well in the movie.
Oh yeah, no, I think it was great. And then the whole Battle of New York, and you just seeing it from their perspective.
Exactly, seeing themselves.
Seeing like how long do they got to pose once they're surrounding Loki. I thought that was great.
And the then, Hulk trying to be Hulk without being Hulk. Smash.
Oh, I got to smash. Oh, smash. Oh no, smash.
Yeah, that was good.
So he ends up doing that, and then obviously in a different multi-universe, Loki, takes one of the Infinity Stones that takes the Tesseract and he disappears. So I think they're setting that up for Loki's own show with Disney Plus. He's gonna have his own spin-off TV series, so I think that's gonna be a part of that. So it goes on where they collect all these stones and they come back, but before they come back, they have to get the Soul Stone, which if you remember from Infinity War, they have to give a soul to get the Soul Stone, and so sacrifice one to get that one, someone that that you love more than yourself. So obviously there's it was Clint Barnes, a Hawkeye, who is back because after the snap he lost his entire family, so he became this vigilante murderer. I should say vigilante hero, killing all these bad guys, and then they convince him to come back to the team. So it's him and Scarlett Johansson's character, Black Widow. Thank you. I was about to space out on her name. So it was those two, and they were like, trying to convince the other ones, like, no, let me do it. It's like, no, let me do it. And then to the point where, she tells him, like, you have family, like the Avengers was my family, so let me do this. So she runs off, but he grabs him and she has him. They're dangling off this cliff, a Hawkeye holding on to Black Widow, and then she just says, just let me do this. And so she ends up letting go of him and falling to her death and sacrificing herself so she can save the rest of humanity. And so I wasn't expecting her to die. That was
neither did I.
That was one of the like, oh shit, moments of the movie. So Clint wakes up and in the river, and he has the Soul Stone. He comes back and he tells the group that she didn't make it. So they have all the stones in place. Tony Stark built a brand new stone Infinity Stone gauntlet, and I believe as Hulk is saying that you need someone strong enough to do the snap. So Hulk, being the strongest Avenger over Thor, says, I'll do it. So he puts it on, gets the snap, and then all of a sudden, you see that scene, and you're thinking like, oh, did it work? And then you hear birds chirping, and then Hawkeye's phone starts going off. It's his wife. So obviously it worked. So, but when he did the snap, I'm going to backtrack a little bit when Nebula, I think, went to they found out what nebula the future nebula was doing, so they had to so they saw this. So uh, past Thanos, younger Thanos, 5 years ago, Thanos saw this, and he kind of sent his own nebula to go infiltrate what was going on. So the bad evil nebula comes back on the ship, and then puts in the coordinates of Thanos' ship to Earth. And then as soon as the snap happened, she goes out, puts in the coordinates, and brings in Thanos' ship to Earth. And this ship, obviously, if you've seen his ship before, is massive. And then he just blows everyone to smithereens, just everywhere. Don't worry, they're all still alive. They're just, you know, barely alive because they're under like debris and everything else.
Yeah, the Avengers headquarters got destroyed.
Oh, it was so
completely.
destroyed.
Yeah.
But then it brought up one of the best fight scenes. It was Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor all taking on Thanos. I think that was one of the best fight scenes in the history of the MCU.
Yeah, it was pretty good, definitely.
No, so yeah, so the big point, the big part, obviously, when Captain America summoned the power of Thor's hammer.
Right.
So to see him wielding,
because he was worthy then. Yeah.
He was worthy. Yeah, exactly. Right. And Thor says like, I knew it. so like it was Thor Thor had Stormbreaker, Captain America had the hammer and a shield, and Tony Stark was doing Tony Stark things, flying around and just kicking ass. So but to the point where Thanos, obviously being younger, and he had this badass double-edged sword. It was kind of Darth Maul-ish type of weapon that he had. He was just taking it to him as much as he can, pretty much destroying Thor and Iron Man, and Captain America was just barely hanging on. His shield was pretty much cut in half by this weapon, and Thanos says, "I'm gonna enjoy destroying this planet." So he then summons every single weapon that he has, every single ship that he has, every single bad guy, the monster that he has with him, summons to Earth, and then you think it's all doom and gloom, and then you hear Captain America is the only one standing right now. You hear out of his ears like Cap on your six. So all of a sudden he says like, what? So all of a sudden, all these time portals open up, and it's everyone that's vanished in the Infinity War came through. Spider-Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, everyone.
Every character.
It was a surreal moment, and then just to cap off that surreal moment, when everyone is there, Cap saying, "Avengers, assemble." That was it for me. That was goosebumps right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
their calling card, right?
Oh my god! Because we've been waiting for him to say that for like, right. You know, they would always tease us like, "Oh, Avengers," and then fade to black, you know. But now he finally said it. Then they just battle off. Oh my god! I could watch that fight scene over and over again.
Yeah, it was
great
a good battle.
fight
it was
scene.
A really good battle. Yep, definitely.
So obviously the battle, and then so much that goes on in the battle. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone has their own little signature moment. Everyone had a chance to get that their hands on the gauntlet to run it away from Thanos, to bring it to Scott Lang, who would send it to the time port, which him and the Wasp were working on. But it came to the point where it was Tony that had to, you know, put the final nail in the coffin. So Tony comes in. What was it? Yeah. Tony comes in. He comes in just trying to get that gauntlet away from him. Thanos pushes him away. So you think it's all over, and then Thanos is like, "Oh, he says his final words like, I'm inevitable," and he goes to snap, but there's nothing happens. So he looks around, and all the Infinity Stones are gone. Tony Stark has them, puts it on his own gauntlet that he has. He says like, And then he says, "I am Iron Man," and he snaps his fingers, and then everyone, all the bad guys, were just dissolved away, and then you finally see Thanos dissolve away. So that was it. So pretty much all that power that he had to absorb to do that snap pretty much killed Tony Stark, and that was the emotional part of the movie. Emotional scene for me as well, watching Peter Parker, talk to him, as he's there dying, So
Mm-hmm.
they have their emotional moment. Parker, Pepper Potts has her moment with Tony. And then they have the funeral where everyone came back for this funeral. Now I got a question for you, Jake. Did you did you recognize anyone? Did you recognize everyone that was on there?
Everyone except one kid, and I heard, and there was one kid near the end on the right hand side that I didn't know who it was, but
the
I heard a
blonde-haired
rumor.
kid.
Yeah.
Well, I looked it up as soon as I got home. I was like, "Cause this is gonna drive me nuts." Like, who is that kid? Iron Man 3. When Tony was at this wooden log cabin, and his family like took him in. And this kid, he was like a builder himself. He was like Tony was helping him out. So he pretty much it was him all grown up. He was a little boy back then. Grew up, so that was him, the kid from Iron Man 3. So that's
there we go.
If anyone that want to know, so yeah,
Ties
so
that in.
Yeah, so that is it for like the 11 years worth of films.
Right. Yeah. No. It was a culmination of all those movies into the very last one. I think they did a great job putting it all together and finished it off.
I thought it was great. For a 3-hour movie, it did not feel like 3 hours to me.
No. It flew by. It really did. There was no down moment until the very end. That was the only down moment in the entire movie.
Yeah, but it was great to see like everyone get their own like special moment. They finish off their timeline, they finish off their storyline, especially the captain deciding to go back and to live his life with Peggy. And because you see him at the end where he's an old man, and then he gives the captain's shield to the new Captain America, which is the Falcon. I was a little surprised by that, Jake.
Right, I thought it was gonna be.
I thought it was gonna be the Winter Soldier.
I thought so too.
I
was gonna be Bucky.
He was a lifelong friend of his.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know because maybe because the Falcon and Winter Soldier are getting their own TV spin-off show. I don't know. So
it'll be interesting to see what happens in the universe after this. We all know Spider-Man: Homecoming comes out next.
Yes,
and that continues on.
Which they just put out the trailer for today.
Yes. Yeah.
And there was a message from Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man. He says, if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, there are major spoilers in this trailer. So watch the Endgame first before you watch this trailer.
Exactly. You gotta do that.
Yeah.
Follow in sequence, people.
I thought it was great. I thought it was one of their best movies. I think it was the best movie out of these 11 years worth of films. Jake, I want to know your thoughts.
Well, definitely. I think it was a great movie. Now, for me, where do we go from here? We know there's going to be they're going to continue with some of the storylines like Guardians or whatever, but it is going to be interesting which direction they go, because this was all of their movies coming together in one. So now they're going to branch off again in their own direction. So it'll be interesting to see where they go.
Exactly.
And how they tie everything in. But I really like the movie. I'm definitely going to get it when it comes out. So I have it and
fantastic.
Add it to the collection.
I thought it was great that you see other people join on to other teams like Thor joining the Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, he's going to play a part in the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the search for Nebula, the search for Gamora. I would assume that's going to be the name of it.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Exactly. So no, I thought it was all great. It's just a little like, well, where do they go from here now? Do they
exactly
like who's gonna take up the mantle? Like who's gonna be the new, the brains, the tech guy, of these new Avengers? Like Obviously, Tom Holland is a pretty smart guy, and is he Tony Stark smart? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, it's something to look forward to. I'm sure we'll talk about it once we find out in the next while. So
For sure.
we'll see what Spider-Man brings to the table when it comes out.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's our recap of Endgame. Whole bunch of spoilers. Good.
Bunch of spoilers.
Definitely.
But it's well worth it. Definitely worth multiple viewings.
Exactly. It is. It is. So, Darren, now we covered Endgame. Let's get into some sports. There's some sports things we got to cover. And with sports, after that, you went somewhere this weekend that I want you to get into. But let's cover sports quickly and then tell us about where you went this weekend.
Okay, so sports, let's get into it. Obviously, the NHL playoffs are still going on.
Hey, you don't care about that anymore.
I don't care about that, but I'm going to say Boston advanced to the conference final. Fuck Boston. And then they're going to go take on
the mad Maple Leafs fan.
Yeah, bitter Maple Leaf fan.
Now it's mad.
Obviously, yeah, I know. Obviously, they're going to take on Carolina. I'm rooting for Carolina because I think they're a wild card team. They're a bunch of jerks. They really embrace that mantra about them. I love the way they play, so I'm hoping for Carolina in the Stanley Cup final. Obviously, there's another Game 7 in the NHL playoffs. San Jose and Colorado are going to be tangling up, and then I think that Game 6 goes tonight between Dallas and St. Louis. So, in the Final Four of the NHL playoffs, you can have two wild card teams. Jake, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It is crazy, but that's what hockey's all about.
It is, and
that's what the Wings did forever. As long as they get in, there's a chance.
Exactly. Everyone has a chance as soon as you get in. So obviously that's going on. NBA playoffs are just been bananas lately.
Right, and we were just talking about this off the air a little bit before we started. How some of these games have been really special. If you look at some of these series, like the Milwaukee series, Milwaukee's killing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a top team. They're going to be in the finals. This is just going to happen. They're just too good. The Greek Freak's just amazing. So.
Oh my God, he's worth the price of admission, right?
Yeah, he's taking over, so that's pretty good.
So them, and obviously in the East, you have the Philadelphia 76ers and the Raptors playing tonight. Actually, playing right now as we are taping this game taping this podcast. That's in Toronto. That's Game 5. Big game for both teams. So they're talking about Joel Embiid today. Will he play? Will he won't play? He's sick, but he's available. I don't know what that means.
Oh, it's playoffs. You better play.
It's playoffs. And in the West, you were talking about this earlier. The Golden State Warriors. What happened to them?
I think they're just losing momentum. There's too much ego, too much everything else happening on this team that it's eventually gonna fall apart. Even if they win or they lose in the playoffs, it's gonna fall apart. It's done.
Yeah, but I really think they're gonna come together at the right time because they know that this is not gonna last forever. Durant being a free agent, and Klay Thompson gonna be looking to cash in on a mega max out deal. So I think this is the last hurrah for Golden State Warriors.
Exactly, I think so too. But it's an interesting series because Houston is okay. James Harden I don't like, but they're putting up a fight.
Oh yeah,
so it's interesting to watch. And watching Houston play their type of basketball, their style, as obnoxious as it is, it's sort of entertaining because it's different, opposite of what's really happening in the East. They're playing that one-on-one. They're gonna set you up one-on-one and take you to the basket. You have Golden State missing, dunks, layups, whole bunch of threes. Like their percentage dropped in this series, but it's some people, basketball purists might not like the series because of the way they're playing.
And also, let's talk about the other series in the Western Conference: the Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trailblazer. Great, crazy series. I think the last game they played went to 4 overtimes. I think that's never happened in the history of the NBA playoffs.
But yeah, it's whoever. The West looks different. The East looks different. Still think the Milwaukee's gonna roll with this, and they're gonna make it to the finals, and they'll beat whoever's coming out of the West. The teams from the West can be beat up, so doesn't matter who comes out of there. I think the Bucks will take it.
Yeah,
Toronto doesn't have any depth, so
no, and I think they're relying way too much on Kawhi, and his points per game has just been out of this world. But how long can he maintain that?
Yeah, no, it's still got a whole bunch of games to play, so I don't think it's gonna happen.
No.
Unfortunately.
So it's going to be a monumental task for them to win tonight and also win in Philadelphia if it gets to that point. But it's going to be no easy task. From that, so that's NBA. Obviously, there was some controversy this past weekend, Jake. I don't know if you're a big horse racing fan.
No, but I've heard about this. Everybody's talking about this.
The Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, Kentucky Derby. Yeah, I heard about it.
I
didn't see the video because I don't care. But I heard about it.
Yeah, exactly. But you heard about it. So obviously, there's a horse that thought it won the Kentucky Derby, but upon further review, they had to go back and they had to check the tape where he was blocking 2 or 3 horses from, advancing. And I guess you can't do that in the world of horse racing.
You have to stay in your lane until the final turn, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. So he wasn't doing that. And after like a 20-minute review, they disqualified the horse, and they have the second place winner. The second place finisher ends up winning the race. I don't even know the name of the horse that actually won the race. So
it doesn't matter. It's horse racing.
No, it's horse racing. It's just it's more of a people drunk white people wearing big hats and drinking mint juleps. That's
right. I'm sure it's exciting, but it's not the
they
not what we do.
They claim it's the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, which I can see. If you're there and you got money on a horse, I would be screaming. I'd be like Kramer, like come on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but that's so much limited to be there. Like that's only so many few times you're able to go there and do that.
Sure,
and it's just getting out there. You got to have some cash with you. You got to be able to kind of know what you're doing, blind luck, whatever. But
or you have a friend that is a degenerate gambler, and and he knows all the ins and outs of horse racing.
Exactly.
So.
Well, yeah, that was a big story in the sports world this weekend too.
Oh yeah. So from the sports world to the wrestling world, I got to tell you about my trip to Philadelphia.
Yes, please, because you're sending me a whole bunch of pictures on Instagram, and I was where is this kid?
Obviously, it was great because I had the opportunity to go to Philadelphia to film some Impact Wrestling TV tapings for their weekly show that they do, and it was taking place at the 2300 Arena, which back then was called Viking Arena, and that was the original home of ECW. Exactly, right? So hardcore wrestling fans, hardcore, arena, attitude. This is South Philadelphia. This is not where the Fresh Prince grew up. This wasn't West Philadelphia. This was South Philadelphia. So my cousin who's been there before, he says like around the area that I was in, a couple blocks north, where it was the actual location where they filmed scenes in the original Rocky movie. So that was pretty neat.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah.
And looking at the pictures you were showing on Instagram, I'm like, look at these alleys.
Exactly. No. So this arena, I got to say, is under a freeway. Yeah. And so there's and then right down the street from the arena is a place with the best the Philly cheesesteaks I've ever had in my life.
Now I officially hate you because I really want one.
Dude, it was like a miracle. It was like heaven in a mouth. A heaven on a bun. It was so good. it was amazing. So obviously going in there, you know, you see all the history. They have banners of all these ECW hardcore legends.
Yep.
Mick Foley, the Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, RVD,
Nice.
Sabu.
You gotta share that on our page because I saw those pictures and they were awesome.
Yeah, no, they're really cool to see. And then it just so happens I was on the flight that morning from Detroit to Philadelphia, and I had RVD and Sabu both on my flight that morning, so that was pretty neat.
Do you remember what I messaged you when you
yeah,
told me
he
that?
did. Yeah. When if he points
you
up,
messaged me in the morning.
way.
Yeah, you messaged me in the morning. Sabu's on my flight.
That's
I'm
right.
like, if he points to the sky, run.
Run. Exactly. So yeah. So we get there, and obviously, you know, RVD, you know, was scheduled to work that weekend, so he was there, and the place just went nuts when he came out. You know, this guy is a legend, you know,
Yes.
in Philadelphia, in ECW, just in wrestling in general. So it was him versus Tommy Dreamer on the one night, and the next night it was gonna be him, Tommy Dreamer, Sabu taking on a bunch of noobs and all these other guys. And it did not disappoint. Anything from kendo sticks to tables to chairs, everything. I saw pretty much the Attitude Era come to life that night in Philadelphia. And that was great. So obviously super nice guys, very humble that people still remember them after all these years to come out.
Legends in the business.
Legends without a doubt. So big shout out to Impact for letting me do that. And those episodes are not going to be on this week, but next week, next Friday on, I believe they show it on the Fight Network in Canada and on the Pursuit channel in the USA will be those episodes from Philadelphia. Definitely worth checking out. But I gotta say that one of the best parts about being in I should say being in Philadelphia, is that 24-hour diners that they have, Jake.
Oh,
I love it. I love it. 24-hour
Nice.
diners where you can get
I'm
pretty much
sold.
anything that you want any time of day. It was great because it was about 12 a.m. when I finished striking for the night, and me and a couple of local camera guys from the area, we're all staying at the same hotel. It's like, let's go to a diner because we're pretty hungry by then. It's like, yeah. So we go to the diner, and then everyone pretty much goes to this diner. And then because a lot of the wrestlers were staying at the same hotel, so we saw Conan and LAX. Yeah, Conan still looks the same. Obviously a little older, you know, but he still has got that swagger about him. Mm-hmm. So people were there, but I don't know what it is about Philadelphia that they have. I can't help but laugh. But like a corner table were these three girls, and I don't know if they came from a club or a bar or something, but they looked like they had their best hooker gear on.
Perfect.
I swear to God, and this one girl, she had to be close to well over 200 pounds. Big girl. And
it's not a bad thing. Let's not.
No.
Notions here. The ADG program discriminates. We don't.
No. Hey, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but she was a bigger girl. I'm painting you.
You didn't say hooker clothing.
No, I said she dressed like a hooker because she had a black see-through fishnet top on and had black pasties covering her nipples. This is at a diner, remind you, and she had fishnet stockings going all the way down with very little underneath. I could not believe it. And I said to myself, where the hell am I? So me being the asshole that I am, and I knew that our internet followers would love it, I did snap a photo of this individual, and I'll probably post it up at some point. But it was definitely the cherry on top to my trip to Philadelphia.
That's the coolest fucking story I've ever heard in my entire life. That's insane. Can I hear it again? Do you have time?
So Darrin,
it's the
at a
beauty
24
of Philadelphia, you know. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I guess. I don't know.
So that's Darrin in the middle of the week, in the middle of the night on the weekend at a 24-hour diner with a whole bunch of wrestlers and
Yeah,
three
that's what
girls dressed
three
like
prostitutes.
hookers.
Yeah, pretty much. I guess that's what you do in Philadelphia. You go out, you have a good time, and then you go to a diner.
Yeah. Well,
Come
there
on,
you go.
what
There you go.
like seriously? Who wouldn't love a 24-hour diner, especially here in Windsor?
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we have to win the lottery instead of travel podcast. And it's the first place we're going to go.
We're gonna go to the Philly
All
Diner.
24-hour diners.
It's called the Philly Diner. It's just off of Dixie Road in Philadelphia. Big shout out to Philly Diner. We're gonna tag them in this episode.
Tag them in.
Tag them on this episode. Oh, so yeah, that was my experience in Philadelphia. It was a fun times, good times.
Oh, that's great. That's
yes.
great.
You know,
Now,
I gotta say,
show,
very underrated food is in a diner. Great food. Some of the best food I've had was in that Philly Diner.
Well, yeah, love diners.
No, but you hear diner food that like, oh, diner food, it's not that great. No, it's good.
No, I like diner food for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, going off of that.
Top that, Jay.
Well, no, I'm just saying, if we watch Impact, which shaky camera will you be, ringside or?
No, actually, I'm the handheld ringside, so I'll be
okay.
I'll be getting the entrance when they come down the ramp. That's usually my camera.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Are you under the ropes at all near the ring, or just the entrance?
Oh
okay.
yeah, I'm like right in the middle of the action. I almost got hit with a kendo stick.
Well, you know what? Next time.
Almost.
All right, that's good. Now we know what to look for. Darrin. All right. Oh man. Okay, so I think we have one more segment to do.
Oh, it's your brand new segment.
Brand new segment. So going off of that, you got. No, I know, and this is going to kind of include big cities because I want to rant about something that I really dislike. I love to do this, but I dislike certain parts of it, and I'm talking about driving. I love to drive. I put way too many kilometers on my cars. But, and this is my rant, I hate driving into Windsor. I hate it. And I know, for everybody that knows me, you know I'm in the middle of nowhere. And I enjoy that. I hate people.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my pet peeves is drivers that don't follow the rules. And as you see on our cover image on our podcast, you see an advertisement for blinker fluid. And 90% of you assholes in Windsor need some. And that's just one little bit of what we're going to talk about. Because you fuckers switch lanes without looking, for one. Two, if your car has a blinker, you probably shoved it up your ass because none of you use it. And here's a couple experiences. And for those from Windsor, you'll relate to this quite quickly. Mm-hmm. And for those who are not in Windsor, I'll describe it in detail. Walker Road, 2 lanes going north, 2 lanes going south. No divider in the middle, whole bunch of shops on each side, and this is a really long road. It can take about a half hour drive up and down the whole thing. I'm driving one time when I still had my big white truck. I saw the H2, very visible, big square truck.
Yeah,
can't miss me. Twice, people switched lanes, almost into me, where I had to swerve into oncoming traffic. Twice. Take that into turning into driveways without signaling. Where, oh, look, I'm going to stop out of nowhere and automatically turn. Right. Good. Because accidents happen not because of speed. Accidents happen because of you stopping out of nowhere. Okay? Now, besides all that, you're on your cell phone texting and you're swerving in traffic. That might be a bad thing. One, it's illegal now. 2, it's still happening. And every time I drive into this damn city, for any reason, I try to avoid to. I really do. Because driving into Windsor pumps my blood pressure. It hurts me. It really does. My blood pressure goes through the roof. Like and I have to do things in Windsor all the time. I dread it. I'm like, can you deliver? Oh, like I don't care. I will pay delivery fees because it avoids me from getting mad at these people. Like, and I don't mind if you tailgate me if I'm going slow. I really don't because sometimes in the snow I do actually drive slow for. That's a misnomer. Sometimes people are like, oh yeah, Jacob's an asshole. Yeah, and drives like really fast. Yeah, okay, I know. But in certain weather conditions, I'll drive speed limit, snow, storms, and if I'm driving speed limit for that particular reason, don't tailgate me. It's a bad idea. That you put your life into your own hands. Right now, I have another truck, and it's really big and red. Can't miss me. So not if you have a little tiny Honda like today, and you tailgate me because I'm going 15 over the speed limit, and you just felt like sitting on my ass for 10 minutes in a passing zone. Well, bad things can happen. So that's one of the people we can encounter. But this is why I avoid it. It just pisses me off. It really does. Like we have this road in the middle of the city called the East Hero Expressway. It's a highway, but it's not really a highway. It's not wide enough to be an actual real highway, but they let you go really fast on it. And then you have these morons who are like, "Oh shit, we're in the middle of Windsor. Speed limit is 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles for our American friends." And you know what? I'm just gonna merge into traffic going half that.
Right.
And if you're lucky, I'll signal that I'm actually gonna cut you off. And if you're a big semi, good luck. You don't have really that much spots to go into. There is no shoulder in this fucking thing. So you do this every day.
Right.
You're there.
Mm-hmm.
You live it daily. I couldn't do it anymore. How do you do it?
It's what? It's certain times of the day that really they seem to be out more, and also on Sundays and early morning. It's like they know that it's Sunday morning. I better start I better start driving like an asshole. It's
I gotta be somewhere, so I should go 10 under the speed limit in the left lane.
Exactly. So me, you could tell for ones who don't drive that often or who aren't from here. So that's really have to have your maneuvering on full gear, because just people are just stupid. They don't know how to drive.
Now that I mentioned left lane, you know how many times I'm driving a little bit above the speed limit, let's say. Let's be real here.
Right.
And someone's in the left lane going 10 under the speed limit, a 2-lane road. And they won't move over because they're in that left lane because 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers down the road, they're going to be making a left. So they're going to stay in that left lane. And clog the fucking road.
Oh my God!
First rule of passing: don't pass on the right. But if I have no fucking choice, I have to pass them on the right. That's just how it is. I can't be stuck behind someone going under the speed limit. That is terrifying to me. I am aging that much quicker in that left lane if I have to follow these people. And I'm already old. I don't want to get older faster. It just hurts so much.
You get more gray hairs.
I do, and I already have too many. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
I don't need any more.
That's why I like driving in the States, because they know how to get around.
You can. There's 5 lanes wide. You don't like something? Go around them. Go faster. Done.
Yeah.
Speed limit higher. And this is out of this rant. The only thing the positive thing here is we're looking at raising the speed limit on our major highway. Hopefully, thank God, it's about damn time.
Yeah.
That was my fucking rant. Drivers.
Well done.
All right.
Drivers.
Mm. So let's do this. This is show 13, episode 13.
Yes.
Good stuff. So for anything related to the show, you guys can email us, adgpodcast@gmail.com. Hit up our Instagram, Facebook @ADG Podcast. Everything's ADG Podcast. Give us some ratings on iTunes because we know you're listening. Give us some feedback. Let us know how everything's going. If you guys are listening on there or YouTube. YouTube's been bumping lately. The last episode's been pretty good. This one's going to be on there eventually. Just check it out. Give us some likes, comments. You guys sound like shit. Thank you. Please just add that comment to it. We don't mind. We don't care. Do it.
Tell all your family and friends.
Share that shit.
I listen to the AG podcast. Yeah, great podcast.
That's right.
And also, if you liked our musical guest today, Wildfire, we'll put their informations out there so you can check out their music.
Exactly. Let us know what you think. We need your feedback. Let us know how it is, and our Facebook group is always there. So whenever you guys are around Facebook, share the page, invite your friends. We'll put a whole bunch of stuff on there that you guys might like. Check it out. All right. So for the ADG podcast, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Darrin.
And we are ADG.